The news day continues here on One News Now. I am Mon Gualvez. The Senate Committee on Tourism is looking to launch an inquiry into the DOT's campaign fiasco. Recall that the Law of the Philippines ad drew flack last week over the use of stock footages not located in the Philippines. Both the Tourism Department and the ad agency DDB Philippines have apologized and an investigation is already underway. However, Senator Nancy Binay told 1PH that there needs to be a study on the viability of the new slogan. Binay said she is considering filing a resolution for the Senate to tackle the matter.
So magandang pag-aralan, magandang tingnan kung dumaan ba sa ganong proseso itong slogan na Love the Philippines. Paano magkakaroon ng proprietary right ang DOT kung hindi naman pala bayad yung ahensya dun sa pag-produce nila ng slogan. Hindi na talaga karapat-dapat na gamitin itong slogan na Love the Philippines. Kasi nga, ano na siya kumbaga damage na yung magiging slogan natin for a new campaign. Ang akin, kung ayaw na talaga nila dun sa It's More Fun, baka mas maigi na mag-ano na lang ulit ng panibago pang slogan.
Senator Binay also thinks that the budget for the new tourism slogan would be better off used in improving the country's tourism infrastructure.
At this point, yung funds na gagamitin natin for a new campaign, mas kailangan gastusin siya dun sa mga infrastructure na talagang mag-i-encourage na bisitahin tayo ng ating mga turista. Yung mga facilities natin, marami pang kailangan i-improve. So sa akin, siguro mas dapat yun yung paggastusan ng DOT and all the other agencies.
The National Bureau of Investigation has apologized for the agency's event that featured a sexy dance number. Last week, the NBI held a two-day command conference for the Bureau's personnel. This was followed by a fellowship program where the controversial sexy dance happened. NBI Chief Menardo de Lemos said he had no idea that the dance was part of the program since he left right after the conference ended. De Lemos said there will be sanctions for those who brought in the dancer to what was supposed to be a wholesome event.
Naging offensive man ang pagsasayaw na ito noong June 30 after the command conference sa sensibilities ng ating mamamayan, lalo ng ating kababaihan. Hindi ko kami ng panganin. Pinapaistigahan natin ang pangyayari kung sino ang nag-imbita, nagdala ng dancer. Hindi kami mag-aatubili, we will not hesitate to dismiss. Dismissal is the penalty. Pasensya na at hindi na mauulit ito.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I am Mon Gualvez. The world recorded its hottest day ever on July 6. According to the U.S. National Centers on Environmental Prediction, the global average temperature hit 17.23 degrees Celsius, breaking previous highs set earlier this week. This comes days after intense heat waves in the United States, China, and Mexico. Meanwhile, the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service stated that last month was the hottest June on record. The agency says this is a result of impact from the El Nino and global warming. Experts see temperatures rising further in the future. Wagner's mutiny may have failed, but its aftermath could potentially have far-reaching consequences in several other countries. This Bloomberg Quick Take tells us more.
The short-lived mutiny by Yevgeny Prigozhin's Wagner mercenary group against President Vladimir Putin could have consequences that reach beyond Russia's borders. For years, Wagner has been the leading actor in the Kremlin's efforts to grow its sphere of influence in Africa and the Middle East, where it won security services contracts and lucrative mining licenses in half a dozen countries. Yet nowhere is likely to be more affected than the Central African Republic, one of the world's poorest countries, where 2,000 Wagner fighters have propped up the government of President Touadera. Wagner's business empire in this resource-rich country has grown almost from scratch over the past 2 years. They've cleared forests to make way for the country's biggest gold mine, capable of producing as much as $290 million worth of gold annually. Acres upon acres of hardwood trees have been chopped down after a Wagner-affiliated company secured a timber concession twice the size of New York City. Then it got into the alcohol business. Over the past year, Wagner operatives erected a new facility on the outskirts of the capital Bangui to produce beer and vodka. At the same time, its rivals came under attack.
And, according to Western governments,
in early March, Wagner mercenaries hurled more than 40 Molotov cocktails at a brewery owned by French alcohol giant Castel in Car, starting a fire that lasted 5 hours. The next day, the country's prime minister arrived to inspect the damage. With him, 6 Wagner fighters acting as his security detail.
Here's a quick look on other stories we're watching. The Agriculture Department is urging farmers to intensify production to get ahead of the looming impact of El Nino. The agency said it will provide fertilizer and other forms of support to farmers. They are also identifying which areas would be affected by the El Nino. Some Maynilad customers may experience up to 9 hours of water interruption starting next week. This as water level in the Angat Dam drops to 179.99 meters below the minimum operating level of 180 meters. And the Education Department will be introducing 3 national programs this coming school year to address learning deficiencies in core subjects like reading, science, and mathematics. DepEd said this would tackle academic setbacks from COVID-19 lockdowns. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 12 noon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I am Mon Gualvez. We are One News.